following 4 Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
All right. So
yeah, a lot easier then.
Yeah, I have all the equipment.
Okay.
So, but anyway, we're talking about putting
Go
together,
ahead.
talking about doing some things, y'all. Y'all will find out what we're talking about later. All right. So, welcome to this week's edition of the Cheap Pop Podcast. We are glad to have y'all here, and let's just say, if y'all thought the long episode was long, this one might be just as long because we got a lot of content to talk about today. Told y'all every week we're going to have a lot of content.
Yes,
Ain't
sir.
that right, Mr. Alpha?
Yes, sir. I sound like shit, and I'm still kind of sick, but, never too sick for some wrestling.
But he's a trooper. He's here. We're going.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. All right. So let me go ahead and dive right on in so we can get into this. As y'all know, I cover all of the DC shows. Real quick synopsis. This segment I open up with, I talk about all the DC shows. We're following the entire DC lineup, all 6 shows through the end of the season, but definitely specifically for the Crisis on Infinite Earths. And there was some more stuff that was kind of given about Crisis. It sucks, man, that you're not caught up and can't watch it like kind of alongside me because I kind of feel like I'm spoiling it here for you, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah, I wish I could be kept up with it too, but I'm juggling like 4 of them at a time.
I feel you.
I'm getting there though.
It's hard, man. It's hard. You got to find those times to be able to binge watch and get through like 5 or 6 episodes of a season at a time, and then that's how you clear through them.
Not wrong.
All right, so I'll start with Flash. So this week's Flash, I'm going to read you to the synopsis as usual. Faced with the news of his impending death, which I told you about, the Monitor came and told Barry that he, in order to prevent everybody else from dying because of the crisis, Barry must die. Or he says the Flash must die. Name of the episode was Flash of Lightning, Season 6, Episode 2. It aired on October 14th. Barry's resiliency suffers as he struggles to fight fate. Meanwhile, Cecile's career as a DA conflicts with her identity when she crosses paths with a villainous metahuman. Well, okay, here's the thing about it. First of all, the villainous metahuman wasn't really villainous. It was this little girl who had gotten powers on the night of the particle accelerator explosion, and she literally didn't know how to control her powers. She really didn't know what she was doing. She just knew she wanted to protect herself. And, and that's the story with a lot of people, with a lot of powers when it comes to metahumans, mutants. 90% of the time, the trigger that releases, that causes the power to come to the surface is stress. Being in danger. Okay. They had a lot of things going on this week. You had Caitlin Snow kind of digging more into. I was reading a couple articles where they were talking about that. I guess Caitlin Snow is not going to be seen as often. Like there's not going to be much more. There's not going to be a lot Caitlin Snow. We're going to get more Killer Frost this season. As they say, the way it was quoted in the article was that Killer Frost is trying to find her humanity. So this was another one of those episodes that kind of helped further that plot line with Killer Frost kind of discovering art and what art means and so on and so forth. But as far as the actual main storyline, Barry ends up going into the future, okay, and sees the destruction of Earth 1. This prompts him to try to run into the future to see, because that and the Monitor telling him he's going to die, he decides to run into the future to go see, what this crisis is all about and why he disappears. Oh my God. Sorry, I just saw Hangman Page take a bump I would never want to see a wrestler take. Fell off the top rope, landed shoulder first on the side apron, and then tumbled to the ground. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, got distracted by it.
Spill.
Yeah. But So Barry tries to run into the future, but can't. There's like this wall of this stuff that he can't get past. Like if he even like it's negative energy. Like if he even tries to go into it, like he ends up like hurting himself. And not hurting himself in a way that this stuff prevents his super healing from being able to save him, unless he gets away from it. So, like, yeah, like he runs into that, and then what they end up doing is he ends up running to Earth 2 and meeting up with Earth 3, sorry, and meeting up with Jay Garrick. All right. And Jay Garrick helps him project his mind past the negative energy field to be able to see what happens in the future. And he basically he says at one point in the episode, he says, I saw 4 billion different futures. Basically, it was like a moment like Doctor Strange in Infinity War, when he looked and saw like the 14 million possible endings. It was kind of like that. Like Barry saw every single possible future at the same time, and it like freaked him out basically damn near for the rest of the episode. But that was one of the side storyline with Cecile. That was all right. She basically switched from being the DA to now she's going to be a lawyer for metahumans, because she's a metahuman herself. Being able to read people's feelings and emotions. So overall, it was a great episode. Didn't really have one big moment. It had a bunch of little moments. It was a pretty good episode, but it definitely moved along the storyline for Crisis. Now, I'm beginning to believe that Flash and Arrow are going to be the center point. You know what I'm saying? What I was describing last week. I'm beginning to believe that Flash and Arrow, which is why I believe they probably air on the same night, or they do air on the same night. Arrow opened up its season. In the season 7 premiere, Oliver returns to Starling City, where he encounters familiar faces while trying to decipher the Monitor's mission. Now, meanwhile, Mia and William's team clash with a new foe. This show provided my moment of the week. Okay, so, see, this is going to be difficult to explain, but because you didn't get to see last season. But last season, John Diggle's daughter or son that was his daughter, I don't know if you remember that particular, when Barry screwed with the timeline at the very beginning of Flash. Yeah, like at the very, like season 1, season 2 of Flash, when Barry screws with the timeline. And he comes back, and John Diggle has a son instead of a daughter. Okay? So they kept John Diggle with a son. Well, John Diggle's son in the future becomes this badass. But I guess John Diggle has another son eventually. But this dude ends up being a leader, one of the leaders of the Deathstroke gang. Right? And there's a scene where they're going to rescue this scientist, and little brother walks in, and Diggle's son, walks in, and he goes, and he has his little baton sticks. He knocks out some dude. He's like, "Brother, how you doing?" And like, I'm just like, this nigga, you would think this fool was drunk as fuck if it wasn't for the fact that you knew he just got done fighting 2 dudes like it was nothing. But it made for a very funny moment, and kind of my moment of the week as far as the DC shows were concerned.
Fucking legend.
Yeah, but needless to say, that was part of the storyline. They were fighting that. But here's the thing about it. They kind of don't divulge to you until like about 10 minutes into the episode. You realize Oliver's on Earth 2. Like, because they show you him on Lian Yu, the island that he was found on, right? And he basically returns to a Starling City where Oliver Queen never came back. He was never found. He never came back. Okay, so this is like 12 years later. And this is 12 years later, and nobody has seen Oliver. So then they bring Oliver back, but it's Oliver from Earth 1. And he's trying to find this stuff, this dwarf star stuff that the Monitor wants. So basically, what you had here, in my personal opinion, was you basically had your big cameo episode for all of the old characters. You know what I'm saying? From like season 1, season 2.
Hmm.
Okay, because they brought back Tommy Merlin, Malcolm Merlin. You know what I'm saying? Only person that didn't return was in on Earth 2, I guess, because Oliver never comes back. Thea dies. She ends up overdosing.
Okay.
So like that's the major difference on Earth 2, like with the queens. But yeah, and then okay, you remember the dude Adrian? No, I don't know if you've made it that far, but he was the vigilante, or he was the
I think so,
DA.
yeah.
He was the DA for a little bit. He's Adrian Chase. He's actually the Hood on Earth 2.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, he's the Hood on Earth 2, and Laura Lance went back to Earth 2 and became, her classic self, her white or black canary. So needless to say,
Okay.
Oliver goes there. He completes his goal,
fucking dope.
as Oliver always does. He gets the Dwarf Star for the Monitor. There was an Easter egg thing in the beginning, but it was never explained to me by Saint. I called him and asked him, and he never explained it to me. Where when they find Oliver on Lian Yu, they have this split-second flash scene where they show an arrow that's stuck in like this in the ground, and I swear to you, it's the Batman mask sitting on top of it. And I'm like,
Deadass?
that's interesting. That's interesting. Oh, and I do have a second moment of the week. It came from Batwoman. I just thought about it. But yeah, like it was just an interesting scene. Like I don't know what they were acknowledging, and they mentioned Batman at the end of the season. Adrian Chase says that old line that if something seems impossible, whatever's left, if you remove everything that seems impossible, whatever left, no matter how improbable, must be true. He says that Bruce Wayne once told him that. And I'm like, okay, so they're kind of acknowledging like the Batman a lot here. I'm wondering if there's going to be a Batman character show up in during Crisis.
That would be the cherry on the cake on that, I think.
Yep.
Because that's like the final moment for Arrow too.
Yep.
I'd be with that.
Oh, I love. Oh, you haven't seen. You got to wait till you see the Elseworlds thing, and when they go to fucking Gotham.
Oh, I know the Thomas. They want to with the Thomas Wayne thing, don't they?
Well, no, yeah, but they go there, but it's funny because the whole thing, like, Barry's supposed to be Oliver Queen, but, like, he's like, yeah, man, Batman's awesome. And he's like, yeah, Batman's okay. Like, he wasn't the first hero in these cities. And, like, Arrow has this complete inferiority complex when it comes to Batman. Like, it's really funny, but I guess it carries over from the comic books, like, of the interactions between those two, during Justice League.
Great.
But yeah, so needless to say, the big event that happens kind of this particular episode and of the season opener is that right after Oliver gets the Dwarf Star, whatever it is that's going around universe to universe in a crisis reaches Earth 2. And like literally Laurel, Oliver, and Diggle escape by the skin of their teeth, getting through Cisco's portal, his breach portal, through by the skin of their teeth to get away from it. But they literally watch Earth 2 get destroyed. Like watch this stuff eat up Earth 2. So they kind of give you an idea of what's coming with the crisis. So that was the big result from Arrow. So moving on, I want to say Supergirl was pretty interesting. Name of the episode was Stranger Beside Me. Supergirl, Alex, Brainiac thwart an alien attack while William investigates Kara. John Jones and Kelly use Obsidian tech to help solve a problem. Basically, they use the Obsidian tech, the virtual reality tech, to help him fix his memory, because his memory is all jacked up. So they help him use the Obsidian tech as these fucking want to say these contact lenses that they put over their eyes that allow them to live in a virtual reality world. And don't get it twisted. We're probably heading in that direction as far as the world we know it today.
Okay, look, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Uh, uh, but yeah, so they help him repair his mind. Like he goes through and he sees that they're like they reconstruct his mind like basically as a library. And he sees that there are missing books without spines and all that, or books without titles and all that. And he has to go through and try it because he figures out that somebody, and it's the dude that's his brother, wiped his mind. And so he ends up basically the whole thing, his whole part in the episode is getting his memories back and figuring out like what happened. So, Supergirl really doesn't do a lot of fighting. This episode was really more about Kara, and then the relationship between Alex and Brainiac than it was really about like fighting actual aliens. Like I forget who the alien threat was, but it was nobody big. So that was Supergirl. Batwoman.
Okay.
Batwoman furthered a storyline that I like more than almost anything the individual like episode storylines that are going on with any of the other shows, and that is the Red Alice Kate Kane connection. They've already revealed that Red Alice is Kate Kane's sister. Okay, so her sister that she thought was dead. So Kate, name of the episode is Rabbit Hole. Kate battles Alice and the Wonderland Gang from the shadows while continuing to be haunted by her sister's death 15 years earlier. Meanwhile, the city holds on hope that Batman has returned, and Jacob Kane and the Crows up the stakes trying to take down the villainous crew. Kate continues to look to Bruce Wayne's legacy for guidance as Luke Fox inadvertently gets pulled into Batwoman's vigilante heroics. Overall, great episode. I enjoyed where I'll go straight to my moment of the week, which produced. There was a moment where the reporter is talking on her podcast, and she midway through goes, "So what did happen to Batman? Where did he go? Was there a Cape convention somewhere that we didn't know about? Is that why he's missing? Or did Robin just graduate from high school and he was too busy to be there?" I was just like, damn.
Fuck.
That just cut deep. Damn, woman. Like, it was, yeah. But needless to say, like I said, they built further on the whole dichotomy between the father, Jacob Kane, Kate, and then Alice, as Kate actually does save Alice from being killed at one point by convincing her father that that's her sister, his daughter. So, but he's convinced himself now that because of some of the heinous things she's done, his daughter is no longer alive in there. You know, one of those, oh, that's not her in there, that's just evil. But overall, great episode. Once again, the major plot line was that it furthered the plot line of Red Alice versus Kate Kane. And actually, at the end of the episode, the big reveal was that Red Alice revealed that she knows that Kate Kane is Batwoman. It's hella dope. Like, Kate Kane comes walking out, and there's this box sitting there, and she opens it up, and like she had basically come face to face with earlier in the episode, face to face with Red Alice in a fight scene, and they kind of like paused as they kind of looked into each other's eyes. And so she leaves her this box, and she opens it up, and it's what looks like a dead bat in there, and a note underneath the bat that says, "You have our father's eyes." And I was just like,
yikes.
Damn. And then the bat comes to life and takes off and flies away. And I was just like, I like the writers of this show. Big time. Like, I just like the way they do things. And then finally, there was Black Lightning on Monday night. The Book of Occupation, Chapter 2 was the name of the episode. With Freeland under full-blown occupation, the Pierce family gets pulled in different directions. Jefferson and Lynn find themselves at odds with each other. Meanwhile, Nyssa rebels as Blackbird, while Jennifer feels powerless despite having powers. Yeah, this was another one that was just kind of furthering along what was going on, what's going on in the thing. There wasn't a lot of new information introduced other than the coldest moment I've ever seen outside of that scene that I told you about with Tobias Well. They brought back Painkiller. Okay, the kid that played, they brought back the kid Painkiller, right? And put this fool under mind control and made him kill his own mother.
Fuck.
Like, and the dude sitting there, and like the soldier dude is sitting there, and he looks at the Odell, the dude, the evil ASA dude, and he's like, you sure you want? Like we don't know if the brainwashing will hold. That's his mother, and the first person you gonna send him to kill is his mom. And he looks at him. He goes, "Tell me this: if he can kill his mother, doesn't it show that our brainwash can survive anything?" And he's like, "Because he can kill his own mother." And he was like, "Exactly." And he's like, and he gets a smile on his face, and I'm like, "You evil son of a bitch! Like, what did this woman do? Like, good Lord." But yeah, and the scene is just heartbreaking as he walks in, like, and the mom's like, "Khalil," and she's like, "Oh, loving on him," and all of a sudden he's like not responding. She's like, "Are you my like? What? You can't be my son." Like, and she's like, "What, Khalil? Aren't you happy to be home?" And he's like, "Don't worry about it. I am," and gives her a hug, and then grabs her by the neck and injects her with some poison, and she falls and dies, and he just turns around and walks out. And I was just like, I don't know if you old enough to remember. I don't know how much you know about music, but Rick James, okay, one of my favorite artists. Every time I see scenes
Cold
like
blooded.
that, yeah, exactly, cold blooded. That's all I hear in my head.
I got you.
And so like,
You're
yeah,
not wrong. That's fucking yikes.
yeah, that was insane. So yeah, keep checking in with us every week. I'll have more moments of the week, and we'll keep going over these episodes and figuring out what's going on as we're leading into the Crisis on Infinite Earths. But that's it for me, really. Some news that I did hear, that I did hear that was quite interesting is that Chris Hemsworth, Thor himself, wants to remake a movie that was done, I want to say in the late 80s, like maybe early 90s, with Steve Martin, Martin Short, and I want to say Dan Aykroyd. And they were the Three Amigos. And it's just a great movie. If you ever get a chance to check it out, go check it out. Funny as hell. Chris Hemsworth wants to redo the Three Amigos movie with RDJ and Chris Evans. I think this would be amazing.
Oh,
Hello?
my turn?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Okay. Oh, I'm gonna say got more. I'm interested, definitely. That's what we saw a remake of that, like what, 6 or 7 years ago?
What,
I
Three
believe it was
Amigos?
one with. Never mind. I'm stupid. Wrong franchise. Yeah, no, I'm interested. That's something. Then it's the opposite. We haven't seen that in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And although I'm tired of the idea of Hollywood just making remakes of the same shit over and over again,
Yep.
it's not something that's been done continuously, so I can't say I'm tired of it.
Yeah. It's not the third or fourth or fifth
It's not like they
remake
don't have
of
the
it.
acting. Sorry. No, it's not like they don't have the acting ability to sell that to everybody with how big the three of them are as a collective, not only as individuals.
Exactly. And I believe Steve Martin is still alive, so he could even make a cameo. I'm pretty sure Martin Short is still alive, too. In other news as well, Zoe Kravitz. For those of you who don't know who she is, go watch X-Men First Class. She's the girl with the wings. She is the daughter of Lenny Kravitz, and she played Denise on Lisa Bonet. Who, for those of you who don't know who Lisa Bonet is, she played on the Cosby Show. She played the oldest daughter on the Cosby Show. So,
Okay.
but yeah, Denise was her name on the Cosby Show. But it's their daughter. But she's been pegged to play Catwoman in the new Batman movie featuring Robert Pattinson, and I never thought I'd be saying that in my life, but that's what it is. She will be playing Catwoman to his Batman.
That's definitely two unorthodox choices,
Yeah,
to say the least.
yeah. Some people say that Zoe Kravitz could be a throwback to Eartha Kitt. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the old Eartha Kitt Catwoman from the same series where Adam West played Batman and Cesar Romero was the Joker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the purple suit.
Yeah. Eartha Kitt played Catwoman in that, and they're saying that Zoe Kravitz is going to kind of be a throwback to her. I wouldn't mind seeing it.
I'd rather that than take a completely original direction and possibly fuck it up.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, good Lord.
I think especially because there are so few versions of Catwoman that if they do it wrong, it's not gonna look good.
It's kind of like Storm.
Like it's gonna be a mess. People are gonna trash that.
You got one shot with Storm and you fucked it up. You went for name power over actual like actress that could play the part. Damn Halle Berry. Love you in damn near everything else you were ever in. Except for the X-Men movies. Just can't get behind you. Good news. Deadpool writers say that Marvel will allow them to continue with the hard R rating. And on the subject of Deadpool, I also heard that Marvel's thinking about a suggestion that a fan made of having Deadpool replace Stan Lee with the cameos.
That would make substantially more sense.
Yeah.
I do like the idea that they had going where Stanley was he was the washer of the universe, but
yeah,
with what they currently have going, it's not like they can continue to do that. And Deadpool has only surged in popularity since his game in 2012.
Yep.
Like there is no wrong you can do that just because of how universally loved Deadpool is for the most part.
For the most part, he has some detractors. I was reading in my comic books thing, people are like, Deadpool's so overrated. And I'm like, okay, then you don't know what funny is. I'm sorry to say it. Normally I don't like saying that, but it might just be you have different tastes. But if you don't think Deadpool's funny, like, you were that kid that was sitting off in the corner reading a book while everybody else was laughing at fart jokes. Like, sorry, dude. Like, that Deadpool is
wrong in the assessment, though.
Yeah, very true. So, all right. Last thing I'll do real quick before I turn it over to Alpha's Editions is went and saw the Addams Family movie with this weekend. Oh, and going to make an announcement now. Hope this is okay with you, sir. I didn't think you would mind. My daughter wants to get famous. So
Go for it.
She wants to do Maddie's Movie Moments, where I'm going to have her do an audio recording of her review of a bunch of kids' movies as they come out. And we'll air them here on the show.
Okay, horribly.
So she was going to do one of Addams Family after we went and saw it on Saturday, but she ended up going to stay the night over at her godmother's house instead because she loves her godmother's daughters. So we didn't end up recording one for this week's episode, but probably for next week's episode, I'll have a little review from her. So
that's fucking adorable.
Yeah, trust me. When she said it and she got all excited, I was like, all right, we're going to have to do this. I'm thinking about adding some kind of video component at some point, too, where she posts her little reviews to YouTube as well, but I'm working that out. But needless to say, we went and saw Addams Family. It was a cute little movie. I believe it's got a G rating. Wednesday was really the star of the movie. A lot of good stuff happened with her. I won't go into too much detail for spoilers. But Wednesday was really the star of the movie. she was really the center point of the storyline as well, as it kind of surrounded around her trying to find her way outside of necessarily the Adams way of doing things. Same thing with the son, Pudge, like him trying to find his own way of doing things. So there's a couple of funny characters, like the lady that's the home model place person that tries to redo the Adams family's house is pretty hilarious. But overall, in general, the movie was funny. So, great movie. Definitely take your kids to go see it. Even if they're scaredy cats to an extent, like there's not really much in the movie that's scary. You know, Cousin It is literally still one of my favorite characters. He was for the old black and white TV show and the color version, and he was in the movies, and he still is in this movie. Cousin It is my dog. Just a walking pile of hair that you can't understand a damn thing he says. And people are like, oh, yeah, it. Oh, you're so funny. I'm like, you just think it say nothing. Anyway. Oh, man. So overall, great movie. Like I said, I definitely recommend it. 2 thumbs up from K-Double. Go see it. So, heard there's a movie coming out this weekend, friend. Heard you planning on seeing it on Tuesday.
Yep, I am not missing that shit. Not even a little bit. Like, Zombieland 2 is coming out, and I'm beyond stoked. I'm a massive fan of the first movie. It came out when I was in like the 6th or 5th grade, and immediately I fell in love with it. I'm a massive fan of zombie movies, and like, it's fucking Woody Harrelson.
Oh yeah,
you look me in the eyes and you tell me you don't want that in a zombie movie.
Oh, at his best, I love it.
Yeah, buddy.
And who is it? Jesse Eisenberg is with him.
Yep, the entirety of the original cast. Jesse
awesome,
Eisenberg,
man.
Emma Stone.
Yep. Even the little girl's grown up a little bit more. We waited a lot of years for this sequel, and I'm glad we did, because it should make it even better. You know, and
yeah.
So
the oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, on that topic of that, like, I'm more than happy to wait for this movie. And bridging that into a few things, a bunch of games were pushed back this past week. The new Doom game, Doom Eternal, was pushed back.
Okay.
A little bit. And a lot of people are mad. And I just wanted to say that there is one thing that Shigeru Miyamoto said that will always ring true with video games and movies and rush dates and all that type of shit. And it's that a rushed game will always be bad, but a game that is pushed back will eventually be a good game. That isn't the exact code, it goes something like that. I forgot it, but it's that idea.
That if you wait
and
patiently.
I just want to like bring that up and really listen to that, because there's a lot of people that are fucking throwing chairs at Doom being released. I think a few months or a few weeks later, and it's like, no, that just means the game's going to be better, and it rings true in the same way with movies and any type of media like that.
Well, I would say like this, especially when it comes, like you said, video games, media, etc. Like with the video games, like, look, man, if they're postponing the release, it's because of the fact that they found a glitch in the game that they're trying to fix before they release it to you. Think about it, you know, for those people throwing fits about a game being released later, think about it that way. If they're pushing back the release date, it's because they found a glitch. They found something wrong with the game that they don't think is something that they want put out there. So you know, suck it up and think about it like that. So
exactly. Like, I don't know about you, but I would rather wait a little bit longer for a much better product.
Yes, amen.
And you can't rush that shit, and that's an issue that we've seen with the most recent Pokemon game.
Yeah.
You know, what's Pokemon's whole motif? It's got to catch them all and shit, right?
Yep.
And we're on Generation 8 now, so we have upwards of over 1,000 Pokemon.
Damn.
So to put the game in so that it comes around, so that it comes out around Christmas time, they're not releasing every single Pokemon they've ever released into the game, just so that it could come out alongside Christmas so they can get the money with it.
Right.
So they can cash in on that. Things like that, you know, we're missing 75% of a game so that it can be released early.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I want the absolute fucking opposite of that.
Yes. Amen. Well, it's just like, and I can bitch about this all day. I hate that. I hate the inventation of DLC. Everybody talks about how great DLC is. I've hated it. Give me a complete, especially if you're going to jack up the prices to $60-$70 for some of these games, give me the complete game. Don't hold back pieces of the game to download later and charge me later before I, you know, in the 6 months of me downloading DLC before I end up or downloading DLC before I end up having the whole game or all the features of the game that I should have had and could have had when the game first came out. Give me all of the game initially.
One of the worst examples of that is the first Destiny game. I don't know if you played that, but basically the game was released and the rest of the game came out in the form of DLC for about the next year and a half.
Oh my God.
And so basically you were left with a pretty empty husk of a game, only able to play like 25% of it, and you have to pay for every single other portion. And that's my thing with DLC. Like, I'm fine with very small things being DLC, especially cosmetic items.
Yeah.
But when I have to pay another, where I have to pay another $60 to get the rest of the game, so as a whole I'm paying $120 for one single experience. Like, no, I don't.
I'm good.
I don't know about that. I'm not feeling that.
Unless that experience is allowing me to make $100 million, I'm good. It's called return on your investment. But yeah, no, I feel you 100%, man. 100%. But all right, so you got anything else for this week? For the comic book world?
I guess, yeah.
Go for it.
I just want to have a little bit of a small PSA.
Okay.
In the past maybe 9, 11 months or so, I've gotten pretty heavy into horror movies, right?
Okay.
All my life, I wasn't feeling it, but I've gotten pretty into it these last few months. And there is one thing. If it is one single thing, it is that don't ever try to look me in the eyes and tell me CGI is better than practical effects.
Oh no,
especially
never.
when it comes to a horror movie. Yeah,
no.
Like, looking into it, it really made me understand that.
Yeah, go back and watch some of
and
the well done.
To really emphasize that. Yeah, exactly. You fucking read my mind.
Yeah.
I went back and I watched the original Thing this past week with my mom.
Oh, the Thing, the movie? Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the best practical effects fucking ever.
Yep.
And that really pounded into my head. Like, no, this is nothing. I mean, like, this is, the opposite, sorry. Like, CGI has nothing on this.
See, it's
especially
almost
when you
like...
look at the Thing sequel that was purely CGI, and it really shows how much shittier it really is.
And when I first started watching like horror movies and all that, they were not very, the special effects weren't extra special. Then somewhere around the early 90s, the special effects started getting really special. And then we've kind of taken a step back with CGI, where the special effects are hokey again. You know, as they're learning to utilize CGI correctly within the horror movie genre. This nigga did all this shit with his arms tied behind his back. I'll be damned. Darby Allin is a fucking beast.
Did you see the one where he wrestled Brody King in fucking handcuffs?
Nah, I'm watching him wrestle Chris Jericho with his hand tipped behind his back. And yeah.
He's a fucking legend, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah, he is.
So good.
But anyway, so yeah. But yeah, I'm completely thrown. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, I'm thrown off.
Yeah, that is my Alpha's additions. Above all else, kids, it is CGI will always be less than.
Yeah, well, it depends
never
on
equal to or above.
Because if you're talking about a movie,
good old practical effects.
If you're talking about a movie like Avatar that mixes CGI and practical effects, it can be done correctly and look beautiful. But as far as CGI being better than overall, like outright better than, nah, never, not even close. It's like saying DC is better than Marvel overall. Like, nah, sorry, like, nah, not there. Anyway.
Like for some cases, I can see that, yeah, a little bit of CGI would definitely be good, but relying entirely on it is always just a bad product, especially in the context of a horror movie.
Yep. Now, if you're talking about like a movie like Final Fantasy, yeah, that could work.
That's different, yeah. That's a whole different setup that you could do that with. And, of course, CGI would make more than enough sense with that.
Right. Oh, man.
Goddamn the fuck the thing sequel for going CGI. That is all.
Damn it. Yep. All right. We're going to take that commercial break now.
All right.
You're listening to the Cheap Pop Podcast. 4AC Presents Radio Network, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio. Y'all know where to find us. Just keep looking. So, and we'll see y'all right after the commercial break. And, oh, shit, Jack Swagger just knocked out him. Damn figures. We'll talk about that after the break. Y'all have a good one. Peace.
Interruption in progress. Now hijacking into ANS 2.0 immersion rig. Now simulating the amazing nerd show. Featuring comics.
And Batman's like, you're safe here and everything, but the Joker all of a sudden pulls out a gun and shoots himself.
Movies.
People fight with lightsabers. What the hell do you want? I mean, in every one of these movies, there's a lightsaber battle.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna rewatch it a million times.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, give me something more.
Wrestling.
That would be awesome. Oh my god, just a monster. Fans would be like, holy, what the hell's going on? What happened to Jericho?
Horror.
It starts off like any other like home invasion type of story, and then it just goes crazy.
And more.
Hey, this is Christian.
Hey, this is Damon.
And we are the Amazing Nerd Show.
Make sure to download us on all your favorite podcast platforms.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
Game ticket, $50. Hot dog, $8. Team store item, $25.
I told him I can beat him with one hand tied behind my back, with some glasses on, with one eye lens out, with some flip-flops on in the ring.
Having to listen to someone's dumb sports opinions? Worthless. Some people shouldn't talk sports. For everyone else, there's the Unspoken Podcast, available on most podcasting platforms, and on the web at theunsporkensportspodcast.weebly.com.
And we're back. What is up, you out there in radio world? We're here to talk some wrestling, baby.
Hell yeah.
The WWE draft took place this week, and boy, here's the problem. I'll say it like this. Here's the first problem that I have with the draft. Okay, and then we'll dig into this more a little bit later after we go through the results. But too many people stayed on the same brand. You see what I'm saying?
Nothing changed.
Yeah, there wasn't much that changed. There were very few people that actually switched brands. And by the way, on the note of the draft, I also just heard that as of yesterday, the former women's tag team champions Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss have been traded from Raw to SmackDown.
Yes, they have.
So, I heard about
And
that.
Luke Harper is on SmackDown, but that's as much as I know.
All right. Yeah, but Eric Rowan is going to be on Raw, I guess, because he was drafted to Raw.
Yep.
Put them back together just to break them back up again. Anyway, so speaking of Friday Night
Consistent
SmackDown.
writing. Perfect.
Exactly. Speaking of Friday Night SmackDown, we did get one piece of good news, and that was, well, to an extent, good news. Eric Bischoff is no longer running creative for SmackDown. It will now be Bruce Pritchard. Good old Bruce Pritchard. You got any thoughts on that, Mr. Alpha?
I don't really have too many thoughts, honestly. I've always been a little meh on Eric Bischoff because it's like, he failed WCW, he failed TNA, but like I've always set him alongside Vince Russo, and it's like, yeah, but he will forever be the lesser of those two evils.
Yeah.
So I've never hated Eric Bischoff nearly as much. I've always been just sort of okay with him because he did have that really good run with Raw in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Which I was definitely there to see, and I liked it.
Well, I'll say it like this: Eric Bischoff messed up WCW. He messed up Impact Wrestling. The only thing that he didn't mess up that he touched on the big stage was Raw, and that was because you can't really fuck up Raw too bad, especially when at the time Raw was really the only major game in town. Like WCW was kind of on their way out. They were really starting to flounder at the point in which Bischoff came over to WWE and took over Raw. But at the end of the day, I agree with you in the statement that if I had to choose between Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff, I'd probably take Russo 90% of the time. Or not Russo, but Bischoff 90% of the time. So.
You mean Bischoff over Russo?
Yes.
Or like Russo over
Bischoff.
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 So I was going to say.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying Russo. No. I know Russo's a cancer. So. All right, so.
Yeah, it's like there are very few people that I 100% agree with fucking. Wow, I forgot his name. The old bastard. He has a podcast too, and he just cusses a lot.
Bruce Pritchard or Jim Cornette?
Cornette. I don't agree with Cornette on a lot of things, but it's like that is the one single thing that I will always have with him. Fuck Vince Russo, because everything he touches dies. Yeah.
Oh man! All right, so let's get to this draft. All right, so SmackDown, Let's see. SmackDown opened up on the 10th with a one-on-one match versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins for the number one pick that night. The match was actually pretty good. Like, Reigns and Rollins really went after each other. But the way the match ended was kind of...
They did that shit on purpose.
Yep. As we had the Fiend interrupt by coming up through the fucking mat, grabbing Seth by the mouth and dragging him down into the thing, thereby getting Roman Reigns disqualified, so Seth Rollins ended up getting the number one pick for Raw.
Yep.
But here's the thing. The draft order, the way that they did the draft order all through the nights, it made most sense for Raw to pick first. That's the only way you get the Raw, SmackDown rotation. If not, if SmackDown picks first, then it's going to be SmackDown, Raw, SmackDown, and then Raw. You see what I'm saying? So in order to get that bouncing back and forth, you had to do Raw, SmackDown. So anyway, round one.
Either way, that was going to happen. Yeah.
Right. They opened up with pick number one was Becky Lynch. She gets drafted to Raw. Once again, she gets drafted to Raw even though she's already on Raw. Roman Reigns. Want to take a wild guess where he gets drafted to?
SmackDown.
Yeah.
Where where he was already before, right?
Exactly. The next team, the
You know where this is
OC,
going.
was drafted as a team to Raw, where they already were. Now, being that The Fiend was never any one particular place, I can't really say that nothing's changed, but Fiend has also already appeared on SmackDown, etc. Why is Tommaso Ciampa beating up this dude's pants? Tommaso Ciampa.
Oh, that's one of the Angel Garza.
Yeah.
Fucking maniac.
He's a fool. He literally
Good to
wrestled
have him
this.
back, though.
Yeah. Anyway, the OC, AJ Styles and the Good
Let's see on the
Brothers, got drafted
Very
to
good.
Raw, where they kind of already were. The Fiend got drafted to SmackDown. So this may be some of the last times that we see The Fiend and Seth Rollins interact. And then Raw
man,
also...
I'm so sad that I won't be able to see that.
You know. And then Drew McIntyre was the last pick of the first round going to Raw. So your thoughts on that round as a whole, sir?
Of course, you know, if you couldn't tell, my displeasure is fucking immeasurable. Not again. Like I saw a few people move, but it's damn near it should be everybody switching. It should be almost complete fucking opposites.
And I also thought that the NXT should have been involved too, but oh well.
I was gonna say I need to see more of 205 Live and NXT too, because what's the point of them having this whole third brand sort of rep, you know?
Yep. So
they're not doing anything. NXT should be also taking people, you know, to solidify that. But they could have started that off at least with at least one. But fucking, you know, it didn't.
It didn't happen.
Usual.
Yep. So round 2 kicked off with Raw taking Randy Orton. So that's a change considering he's been on SmackDown recently. Sasha Banks moves over to Friday Night SmackDown, so there's a move. 2 moves in a row. But wasn't she on both brands? Wasn't she bouncing back and forth between both brands anyway?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was.
Ricochet stays home on Raw. Braun Strowman switches brands to Friday Night SmackDown. And Bobby Lashley remains with his lover Lana in the worst storyline ever on Raw.
God damn it. Why'd you have to fucking remind me?
Any thoughts on
that?
Like,
fuck, man. I was really excited for Paul Heyman to be here. Don't make me fucking wrong. Because you know that's all coming out of his fucking crazy ass.
Yep. Oh, and bravo to...
Go ahead. No, go John.
No, I was just going to say bravo to WWE on the presentation of the draft. Making it look like as much like an NFL, like ESPN draft type situation as possible.
I was going to say, for the most part, it felt more like fucking Fox versus USA and less like SmackDown versus Raw.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Which is new, so I'm interested. I'm not going to throw that out before it finishes.
But, all right, round 3. Saw Alexa Bliss get drafted to Raw, only to be traded to SmackDown as we announced earlier. Lacey Evans is now permanently a member of the Friday Night SmackDown roster. Kevin Owens is now a member of Raw. The Revival, of course, being that they're SmackDown champs, stayed on SmackDown. I always thought, yeah. See, here's where once again, every spot that a champion was taken is a spot that they could have either introduced new players or had one of the other players do it. And the reason why I say that is it's quite obvious that you're going to continue to leave the championships where they're at. You know, being that the championships are brand specific. So if you're going to leave them where they're at, why'd you even put the champs in the draft? It should have just been like, okay, all the champions are going to stay on the show, their respective shows that they're on right now. It's champ. and then we're going to draft for everybody else. So, because I knew they weren't going to let like USA draft the Universal Champion and Brock Lesnar, you know, to where they have both championships on Raw. I knew like they weren't going to allow that to happen. So it's like you should have just left the champs out. But Natalya,
there's actual fucking value in those spots.
exactly, and now Natalya moves brands from Friday Night SmackDown to Raw. That was round 3. During the process of the Monday night one, the Viking Raiders won the Raw Tag Team Championships, and we'll go over when we get to the Raw side why that happened. There was actually a reason for it. But the Viking Raiders were taken at the top of the 4th round. Lucha House Party is headed over to Friday Night SmackDown. Nikki Cross, of course, is now on SmackDown after being traded with Alexa Bliss. Heavy Machinery is now officially on SmackDown again. And here's the first one that made me smile. We want the smoke. We want that smoke. Oh, we want the smoke. Oh, sorry. The Street Profits are now officially members of Monday Night Raw and have already began their first feud against the OC. Street Profits have arrived, baby.
I get to see them against the fucking Good Brothers. Like,
you know,
what more could I ask for? Fuck yeah, give me that shit.
So overall, night 1 I thought went well, of course, because Raw drafts three people to every 2 people that SmackDown takes. Raw ended up getting the better, just like they do on Monday night, because they have more picks, so they have more chances to hit than SmackDown does, like with the Street Profits. But that rounded out Friday Night SmackDown. What also rounded out Friday Night SmackDown was a promo by Cain Velasquez on Brock Lesnar. Or no, that didn't round it out. That was in the middle of SmackDown, I believe. Very, very, very underwhelming. Like, this guy needs not to talk. Let Ray speak for you. Just let Ray speak for you. Because, like, nah, dude, like, you're not
Give Ray the mic.
You weren't a talker in UFC. You're not a talker here. Like, maybe down in Mexico you're a good talker because you seem like you speak fluid Spanish. So you can probably talk hella shit and cut a great promo in Spanish. But, bro, that promo you tried to cut on Friday was not having it. They definitely need to put you through some promo work. You are not a natural showman.
Yeah, what could you expect, you know?
I expected Triple H to be intelligent enough to know to protect Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez is better suited to be just the big backup dumb guy who never says anything than he is to be the guy that actually comes out and talks shit.
And I wish they would give Triple H that sort of actual control over it, because you can tell, because, you know, it's a Brock feud, you know, Vince is, this is his toy house, you know,
right.
This is his angle. Yeah, I'm just day by day, it's like, yeah, there's also that angle with Cain Velasquez just sort of there. That's also happening in the wrestling world, I guess. At this point, it's not even like when Roman's being shoved down my throat, like angering like that. It's sort of just there.
Yeah. Just, yeah. All right. So we'll move from there on over to the Monday Night Raw lineup, which, like I just mentioned, congratulations to our boys, the War Raiders, as they capture their first championships on the main roster, as they beat Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode for the Raw Tag Team Championships. So,
hopefully it's the first of many. They deserve that shit.
Yep.
It's still still weird to say it, you know, that like War Machine are now the tag champs, because like I don't know about you, but I remember when they were New Japan IWGP Heavyweight Tag Champs.
Yeah. They said they were some of the first to hold that title, the ROH and the WWE. I'm like, yeah, you're not the first, but you're one of the first because the Dudley Boys have done it. I believe the Dudley Boys have held the IWGP. Matter of fact, I'm 100% sure the Dudley Boys have held the IWGP, and they've held the ROH, and they've held the WWE/F.
Really?
I believe so.
I didn't know Dudley Boys held that.
Only one I'm not 100% sure about is I'm not sure about whether or not they've held the ROH. But I know they held IWGP because they won it when they were at Impact.
Oh, did it? Damn, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I know they didn't have an In Ring of Honor because by that time they were already split and it was Bully Ray.
Okay. So then ROH. So then So Viking Experience would be or War Raiders would be one of the first to do that then, if not the first. But okay, so Raw kicked off with a one-on-one match between Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. Charlotte, who in the main event of Friday Night SmackDown, lost the belt back to the new look Bayley. For those of you who didn't see, Bayley has now cut her hair short, dyed it even darker black. She's got this yellow and black color scheme that she does now. She's my girl. Let's go, Bayley. And she basically won back the SmackDown Women's Championship and told the entire crowd, "Screw you." Bayley is full heel.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but one of my favorite things is when somebody who is a mainstay face becomes a heel or vice versa.
Yep. Because always interesting.
They actually give a shit about the writing on this one because with the ramifications that it had, they can really do some top tier writing with it.
Oh, they even had Bayley go as far as to take out like a sword like product and chop down the inflatable flailing tube men.
Little Bailey buddies. Yeah.
Yep, all our Bailey buddies.
Flailing tube men.
Damn. Oh well. Bye-bye, huggable Bailey. Hello, sexy Bailey. Anyways. Sexy Bailey. Anyway, all right, so.
Horrible.
So the number one pick ended up going to, Becky Lynch ended up getting the win. So the number one pick went to Raw again. They ended up taking Seth Rollins with the first pick. SmackDown, of course, took Brock Lesnar with the second pick. Charlotte Flair is switching brands now, officially moving over to Raw. New Day is staying on SmackDown. Big surprise there. And, of course, if Charlotte Flair is moving over to Raw, Andrade's moving over to Raw. That's a given. With Zelina Vega as well. Because for those who don't know, behind the scenes, Charlotte Flair is dating Andrade. So, yeah.
One of the weirdest matchups I've ever seen.
Well,
you kind of expected Becky and Seth with that's a
interesting thing, huh?
I didn't fucking expect that.
Oh man! All right, so that was round one. They closed out. Round two saw Raw take the Kabuki Warriors, the current Raw Women's Tag Team Champions, Asuka and Kairi Sane, and then Daniel Bryan remains on SmackDown. Rusev remains on Raw. Bayley, of course, remains on SmackDown. And then Aleister Black is now officially a member of Monday Night Raw. Thought that was a great...
Now fucking do something with it.
Exactly. Now fucking do something with them. Round 3 saw Cedric Alexander go to Raw. Shinsuke Nakamura with Sami Zayn go to Friday Night SmackDown. Humberto Carrillo, who I haven't seen in months, is headed to Raw. And Ali is staying on Friday Night SmackDown. And Eric Rowan is headed to Raw. So, that was round 3. Round 4, Buddy Murphy is headed to Raw. Ziggler and Rude are headed to SmackDown, which is why it made complete sense why they dropped the belts to the War Raiders, being that they're moving over to SmackDown. Jinder Mahal will remain on Raw. Carmella will remain on SmackDown. But R-Truth, the 24/7 champion, is now officially a member of the Raw roster. So no more Truth and Carmella.
Carmella just lost like her one redeeming value. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep, I would agree. All right, so round 5 saw the currently injured Samoa Joe headed to Raw. The Miz,
our Lord and Savior,
is headed to SmackDown. Akira Tozawa is headed to Raw. King Corbin will remain on Friday nights, or will be seen on Friday nights, and Shelton Benjamin has been moved over to Raw. And just like with Aleister Black, now do something with him.
just fucking give him every belt, man.
You know,
and then Shelton all the belts. Like not even gonna lie.
Pretty much. I'll say round 6 and final round of the WWE draft saw Raw take Rey Mysterio. Friday Night SmackDown take the new and improved Shorty Gable. Raw takes Titus O'Neil.
I hate it so fucking much.
Friday Night SmackDown keeps Elias. And Miss Irrelevant is Liv Morgan. The final pick in the draft is Liv Morgan, heading to Monday Night Raw. So, those are all the people.
What's Liv Morgan's character? She's cute.
Yes, she
and
is.
What else? And like, she's cute. Like, that's it. As much as they're going to get.
They put Luke Harper
and to go back on that, it was like...
No, I was reading a list of undrafted superstars, and they had put Luke Harper on there twice under undrafted men.
He's on SmackDown.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just said he just
he
got
got
signed.
drafted to SmackDown.
Well, no, he didn't get drafted.
Yeah,
he must have gotten signed.
A bunch of other people, but like...
Yeah, like they're as of the end of the recording on Monday night, the undrafted men were Cesaro, Luke Harper, Apollo Crews, Mojo Rawley, and No Way Jose. The undrafted women were Dana Brooke, the Iconics, Sarah Logan, Fire and Desire.
How do you not put Cesaro in the draft? What type of shit is this?
Exactly. How do you not? And then unlisted in draft pools are the undrafted tag teams, Akam and Razar, and Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. So those are your undrafted tag teams. Now, these people were not even listed in the pools, but are known to be on the WWE roster. All right. So where were we? We were talking about the draft. Sorry about that. Had a little small hiccup. The undrafted men and women. Yeah, the Usos were not in the draft pools. Jeff and Matt Hardy, right. Sheamus, Naomi, Lars Sullivan, Mike and Maria Kanellis, Nia Jax, Mickie James, Ruby Riott, Alicia Fox, The Ascension, and the Colognes.
All right, look. I'm going to keep it real with you. If it is one thing that I got out of that is like the Ascension need to do something right quick. I'm not digging this shit anymore. Like, I was a massive fan of the original NXT that started up in 2013. And if you don't know, essentially the biggest tag team for the longest time was the Ascension. And it really, really sucked that
Can I tell you
completely and utterly useless on the main roster.
Can I tell you a quick? I'm going to tell you a quick story, real quick, about me and my former co-host, your boy Cole. Part of the inspiration for our 1980s promo time was the Ascension's Wasteland promos. We used to have a segment where, and I believe we did it a couple of times when you were on the show. We go 1980 promo time, and he'd be like, "I'm White Lightning. This is Black Thunder, and we're here to and there's a get your coat on, Mean Gene, because there's a storm coming through," and he'd be like, "Arr." that was all based like that was all inspired by the Ascension's Wasteland promos from back in the day on NXT.
Yeah, buddy.
So sorry.
Worth that shit. They were. I mean,
Yeah,
no, that's fucking great though. Hella funny. Feeling that.
Yes,
above all else, it sucks because like they had that little run for a minute where there was the Fashion Police,
Yeah.
and
That was
it actually
pretty
looked
funny.
like they were going to actually get some traction or at least some TV time. We got neither.
Neither is the right
and
word.
it sucks that a lot of those names were or a lot of names were really good workers too.
Yeah.
Like, did you hear about Maria and Mike Kanellis too? While we're on that, Mike Kanellis has asked for his release.
Really? He doesn't like the storyline, huh?
Now he asked for his release officially.
Like, I can guarantee you, like, he doesn't like the storyline. Like, I wouldn't like a storyline where basically, like, my wife had to pretend like she was pregnant and the baby wasn't mine and mock and degrade me on camera day in and day out and say that everybody else and their daddy is their father. Nah, I wouldn't want to fucking deal with that shit either.
No, yeah, fuck that. I do not blame him. And it sucks because before he signed with WWE, he was really bridging on being a really big thing in the Indies. Like he's always been not massive, but he's always been a mainstay in the Indies. Especially in Impact.
Yeah.
But it really sucks because it took away all of the momentum he had before that point.
Yep. And basically disappeared him off the map for a few damn near years.
Yep. I'm not going to say WWE did nothing for him because if I remember correctly, they helped him with his rehab.
Yeah.
But
and they provided them with a lot of money. Like, I'm sorry to say,
they paid him.
Like, they would have made good money, but I doubt they would have made $500,000 a year. Good money, so.
Yep.
I'm surprised the AOP, with the way that they've been getting pushed recently, didn't get drafted anywhere. I'm truly surprised. Or maybe they're going to use this to play into the everybody's afraid of AOP, storyline that they've been running.
I just want to see them wrestle again. Much like the Ascension, I was really impressed by the performance that AOP had in NXT. And as per usual, they hit main roster and they're just fucking gone.
They're buried. Because I agree with some people when they talk about AEW, or not AEW, but WWE has this tendency to have this nostalgia factor where they like to hold on to guys forever and ever. And it's not that they need to let go of guys. It's they need to start learning when to move guys down the card. You know what I'm saying? Like, they'll have somebody like a Seth Rollins. Like, Seth will have this amazing run. I'll give you an even better example while I'm thinking of it. The way that they're doing AJ Styles right now is a perfect example of the right way that I'm talking about to do it. AJ came in hot. They got the WWE strap on him quick. He lost it. He won it back. He held it for damn near a year. You know what I'm saying? Or a little over a year. And then he dropped it, but now he's kind of backed away from the main event picture, and he's doing the mid-carder and kind of trying to lift up that. You know what I'm saying? They need to learn how to do that instead of having these guys perpetually stay at the top of the board. The really good guys. You need to have those really good guys moving through the ranks. You may drop him back down to mid-card, but he's immediately going to qualify for an Intercontinental title shot or God damn, Io Shirai is fine. Gonna say she is.
You're not wrong.
But
new black tights, man. I'm feeling it.
Yep. But yeah, they need to learn how to cycle people through. Like, let somebody and once again, I think we've gotten back to this outside of the Universal Championship and the WWE Championship. The titles change hands quickly, about every 30 to 90 days. I personally would love to see more 6-month, 180, 200-day reigns out of champions more often. Not just the main event champions, the WWE and the Universal Champion, but out of the US champion. Let him have 2, 3, 4 feuds with people.
Really give the title some depth.
Right.
And it's always been said that it's always longer and more lucrative title reigns over having multiple stints with the belt.
Yep.
because it puts believability not only in the belt but in the character to run with that. And you're completely right. AJ Styles, in his most recent incarnation, has done that down to a T. It is perfect because he came in, got the mainstay strap, and has slowly declined and gone down and done the things that you would usually do going up to that point.
Yep.
And it's made AJ Styles still relevant and matter without keeping him in the same spot and making that stale.
Exactly. And it allows the player, it allows the characters not to get stale. Because when I think that's what happened with John Cena, that's what happened early on with Roman Reigns, which is why that break for him when he was able to get away, with the leukemia and all that, was actually great for his character because it allowed him not to be around for a little bit. So when he actually did come back, not only were people happy for him because of the whole leukemia thing, but they were actually happy to see Roman Reigns because they hadn't seen Roman Reigns in 6 or 8 months. And
right.
So you got to give people some, I've always said that as well. If you have a title reign of a year or more, this is going to sound wrong because it's literally going to sound like I'm messing with wrestlers' money. Because being on TV is really how they get paid the most. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, if you win the title and you lose, if you hold the title for more than say like 200 days and you end up losing the title, like say a Shayna Baszler right now, and you drop the title, you should not be seen on TV for like the next month.
Kofi cough.
Yeah.
Going back on SmackDown and asking as if and acting like he didn't lose the title last week in humiliating fashion.
Exactly.
Wonderful, consistent writing. Real fucking proud of it.
Exactly. So I'm like they should disappear for like a month. Not only does it give you now a month where you have to almost elevate somebody else to that main event status to fill that role until they come back. But it also allows you to develop your younger talent. And that's the key thing to it. Is that that's what NXT gets right. NXT cycles wrestlers through. They have their mainstays, but they cycle wrestlers through, and they keep the faces fresh. I'll say it like this: I've watched maybe 60 to 80. I'm not going to sit here and say I've watched every single episode of NXT. Because there was about a good year or so where Raw Impact only covered Raw and SmackDown. We didn't even really talk about NXT outside of the TakeOver events. But recently I've watched about a good 10, 15 episodes of NXT. All the episodes since they've been on USA I've watched. But even dating back to my watching NXT before, at least once an episode I'm going, who? I've never heard of that person before. But this person is a mainstay, or one of the new mainstays in NXT. And so it's just done so well that they need to learn how to do that and give their people, especially their people coming out of NXT that are hot, a chance. Give them a chance. Finn Balor was one that they didn't drop the ball with. It just sucked that he got injured after winning the Universal title.
Very true.
So
I think one of the biggest problems on main roster is that they keep the same people out in the same exact places.
Pretty much for the most
That's how
part.
That's how you end up with the mid 2000s era, where it was literally just like, all right, between Randy Orton, John Cena, and Triple H, who are we going to see on top?
Yeah.
And it was that for a very long time, and it got very, very stale for me, even when I was really young. Like, even back then, I was able to recognize, like, this is getting pretty fucking stale and boring.
Yep.
And that's where NXT completely has the ball. You're right on that. They really cycle the people through, make sure everybody gets a little bit of time with what little time they have.
Yep.
Whereas with a 3-hour time gap, we're still stuck with the same amount of people.
Yep.
Somebody, I should have saved it from a while ago, but somebody did this little test where they looked at everybody on the Raw roster, and then they compared the percentages to how much was actually on TV most of the time. And it basically broke down to you're only going to see the same 12, 13 people on Raw out of like the 50 plus people on the roster, just because they only use the same amount of people.
Yep. Everybody else is primarily used for house shows.
Exactly. And like, as much as I love Seth Rollins, like I always say, I've been a huge fan of him since he was Tyler fucking Black.
Yeah.
Like, even someone that I love as much as Seth Rollins, they're fucking it up bad.
Yeah.
Just because it not only is it oversaturation, but it's just the bad writing in tandem with it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. All right, so last thing for the Raw subjects before we move on to NXT or AEW. I'm watching NXT right now as well. We saw a very interesting segment. We saw an interesting segment to close Raw that involved the Firefly Funhouse. At one point during the midpoint of Raw, Seth makes the exclamation that he's going to find Bray Wyatt and beat him down. Right? And he promises that. Well, they run a Firefly Funhouse segment where Seth basically shows up and keeps his word and beats the snot out of Bray Wyatt and then turns around and burns down the entire Firefly Funhouse.
This is the second time this dude has had his fucking domain burned to the ground, first off. People keep coming in and burning down my shit.
Man. No, what's hilarious is, okay, what was hilarious about it and was kind of like my little moment of the week for wrestling is Seth comes in, he beats down Bray, takes down one of the pitchers, right? Beats down somebody else, right? Or beats down some of the toys, stuff like that. You hear the toys screaming in the background. But Bray gets back up and he goes, "Stop!" And Seth looks at him and they get face to face. He puts his hands on Seth's chest and he goes, "Why are you doing this to me? I thought we were friends." I was like, and Seth proceeds to continue beating him off screen. And then he tips over the table in the front and says, "Burn it down," and throws a match and lights it all on fire. So, yeah, it was hilarious. But I asked the question, do you think we've seen the last of Firefly Funhouse, or are we just going to see a darker version of it?
I'm really hoping we won't see the last of it because, I've said it before and I'll say it again, dude. Firefly Funhouse kept me watching for a good minute.
Yeah.
For a minute, that was what I was watching Raw for, and only for that, because that was hands down the most entertaining portion. When Raw got, really, really bad.
Yeah.
But I really hope it isn't. But with how they wrote the last of it and how the burning down of the Sister Abigail set was the absolute last we've seen of that, I think we might be heading towards that, sadly.
Could be. That sucks. Oh, well, if we are saying goodbye to it, it's a big salute. It was a great segment while it lasted. All right, so we're going to kind of skim over NXT and AEW this week because you haven't had a chance to watch either, and I've kind of just watched them now. Oh, okay, Djokovic and Lee are going to face off for the number one contendership for the North American title, so no more friggin' Velveteen Dream in the picture, huh? Hopefully he moves on to the whatchamacallit. Oh, and
Look, if Donovan Dijakovic wins that belt, I will fucking cry on national TV. Give me that shit.
Oh, and by the way, brother, I got the best news ever.
What that is?
Earlier this week, I got an email from one of the representatives at 2K Games, and I will be expecting, for the little bit of work I helped them do, I will be expecting my copy of WWE 2K20 Special Edition next week being delivered to my house.
Ah, you bastard.
Oh, trust me, I didn't expect it, but hey, I'll take it.
Fucking Christmas in October.
You know, last year the copy of the game that they gave me is the reason that I bought the Xbox One. So, yeah, and I'm glad I got my new 55-inch TV to play it on for this year when it comes in.
Shit's gonna be crisp.
Yep, I can't wait to play the My Player mode. I never made it out of the SmackDown. The SmackDown number one contenders match on 19 on the My Player, so.
No, I played the fuck out of that game.
Yeah. So,
good shit though.
It took me hella days just to make it past the match with the dude, with the BTW match, or where you're in the indie.
The BCW match, which one?
Yeah, the last indie match where you have to where you throw the dude, where the dude throws you up against the car.
Right.
Yeah, and you beat him down.
I know what you're talking about that, yeah.
Black Hole Cole. Yeah. Like that match, I got stuck on that for like 6 months before I finally threw it in one day and was able to get past it. Like I kept trying and I kept trying and kept trying and kept losing, and I was just like, and then finally one day I stuck it in and made it past. But man, and now they got me in a fatal 7-way or fatal 6-way match. I think it is a fatal 5-way with a bunch of people, or no, an over the top battle royal. Sorry. It's an over-the-top battle royal. I'm in like a 6-man over-the-top battle royal that I got to try to win for the number 1 contendership. And if I don't win it, I don't achieve my goal. I'm like, God damn it! So now I'm stuck on that. And then now I'm about to get the new game, and I'm still stuck on that. Anyway, that's enough about that. So okay, so real quick synopsis for AEW. It was a great show. Of course, Chris Jericho was the center of the show. His match with Darby Allin was just amazing in the fucking half. Like I was just telling you guys earlier, Darby Allin wrestled the last like 15 minutes of the match with his arms taped behind his back. That man is the truth plus some.
Goddamn right. He's a fucking maniac. I love him.
SoCal Uncensored was attacked by the Lucha Brothers right before their tag team match, their tag team tournament match, and Christopher Daniels got hit with a pile driver that supposedly put him out with a stinger. And so it was Kaz and Scorpio Sky that played against that fought off against Best Friends, and of course SoCal Uncensored gets the victory. So I believe
any doubt?
No, not in my mind. I believe they move on to face the cats that you call Street Profits too.
Right.
Private Party.
I got that one guy. Fucking, I forget his name specifically, but he had one hell of a shooting star press in that tag match last week.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And the one against the Young Bucks.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll say Rio retains her AEW Women's Championship with a victory over Dr. Brittany something, DDM or DMD. I don't know her last name. I forgot. But needless to say, yeah, Rio won the belt or kept the belt, and what was a good match. Ironically, it wasn't as good as Rio and that gigantic woman that she faced last week for the inaugural match, or a couple weeks ago. The Lucha Brothers beat Jurassic Express.
I'm angry.
Which was a Jurassic Express seems like a unique tag team to me because like you got the little dude and then you got the big dude, but both of them aren't that big. Like when you saw them standing next to the Lucha Brothers dudes, like it was like, okay, y'all are like tiny.
Yeah, no, Jungle Boy is very fucking small.
Yeah, but he can move. He's a hell of a wrestler.
No doubt.
So
that kid.
And then like
I'm
I said,
I'm fine with it though because I've already praised how much I love Pentagon and his brother though. So if anybody's going to beat them, then I'll be happy with it. It's done. No doubt.
Now Lucha Brothers will go on to face. Forgot who it was. Their matchup is set as well. Forgot who they go on to face next week. But let's dig in. That was AEW. NXT I'm still kind of watching now. But so far it's been pretty good. But nothing major really has happened outside of Ciampa won his match and then got attacked by the Undisputed Era. And then fought him off with a chair and his whatchamacallit and a mean look. A chair, his crutch, and a mean look. So...
That's the trademark champ.
Yep.
I'm so glad he's back.
Oh, I
that
like
is
that
the quintessential heel right now.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
I love Joe. I love MJF. But Ciampa.
Oh, yeah.
That man didn't sign for his character to be in 2K19 solely because he knew people wanted to play as him. That is some modern day heel shit right there.
Oh man. No shit. Oh man, love it. Love it. All right, so let's get to some of your talking points from this evening. So you said you heard some news about Ember Moon.
Yeah, I have a little bunch of news. Sadly, though, Ember Moon is out with an injury, possibly up to a year, which I'm devastated about because I've been always firm that lady should have been both championships at once, all the belts.
Her character was over to boot.
It was.
Who didn't love Ember Moon?
Can you like? Do you remember your first reaction to seeing the Eclipse?
Oh God, I was like, that's savage. When she launched, I was like, okay, what she? Oh, stunner, nice, get it, girl. I was mad she never won the NXT title.
I was mad, dude. Like, I remember seeing her debut and I was like, fuck, do that again. Shit. And, like, after her run in NXT, we've seen how much out of her from that?
Yeah. They've used her sparingly, and I mean seriously sparingly. Since whatchamacallit, she had her little feud with Mandy Rose, but that was about it. I guess she got hurt during that feud, or got hurt after that. And then please tell these people the disappointing information that you gave me before we started recording this show.
Well, my people, yeah. I hate to be him. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I hate to be the devil's advocate, but the 1,000 years of light are over. Ronda Rousey is on her way back.
Boo.
I was to say I wasn't a fan of her first run would be a bit of an understatement. I say this as I like to think I respect wrestling as a whole. Like, no matter who you are, wrestling is not something that is easy to do.
Yeah,
it is not a forgiving thing, and it takes a lot out of people to be able to do it correctly, or even at all. You know.
Yep.
But straight up, I don't think I've ever seen as many runs in anything wrestling related as much as I hated Ronda Rousey being in WWE.
I personally go ahead.
I don't hate the idea of someone who's not from wrestling being a wrestler. Because I'm going to keep it real with you. David Arquette is a great fucking wrestler for being David Arquette. And even if he isn't the best wrestler, that man's willing to put on a show. Him and Nick Gage nearly fucking murdered each other. But it's bad. There's nobody that I hated as much as I hated Ronda Rousey and her run in wrestling, just because of how unbelievably fucking predictable and boring it all was as a whole.
I'll give you my 2 cents like this. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Ronda Rousey should have been paired with Shayna Baszler in NXT. She should have started there. Her name power is what promoted her to the main roster right off the bat. It definitely was not her wrestling skill. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It was her name power. The fact that she is a draw. You put the name Ronda Rousey on the marquee, people are going to show up. Okay?
Very true.
That's what got her promoted to the main roster. I think she should have started in NXT as one of the 4 horsewomen for Shayna Baszler, then maybe turned on Baszler and became the leader of the group. You know what I'm saying? And won the NXT Women's Championship, held that for a little bit, then made her main roster debut. Have her marinate down in NXT for a year. You know,
have some actual build up to her as a wrestler, not just Ronda Rousey.
Right, they could have debuted her at WrestleMania like they did, and then had her show up at the Performance Center the next week and start doing NXT tapings. And then she did NXT tapings for about I would say give her till SummerSlam, right? Then have her win the women's NXT title from Shayna Baszler at SummerSlam in an epic match, because now they've been practicing with each other and running with each other for 6-8 months. You know what I'm saying? Then you give her that epic match, an NXT match at a like SummerSlam pre-show where she wins the women NXT title, and then she holds it till the next year's WrestleMania, drops it at the next year's WrestleMania, and then that following Monday Night Raw, she makes her debut on the main roster. I think that would have been that would have gotten Ronda Rousey a lot more accepted than she was. Because even though there were people that cheered for her, that were happy that she was there, once her matches started getting repetitive and old, like, it was like,
That's
people
it.
weren't really
That's
that
on the coffin.
You know, and so because of that, if you put her down in NXT, not only do you give her a few months as Shayna Baszler's like bodyguard, where she's not really wrestling that many actual matches, but she's still getting in bumps and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? She's Shayna Baszler's like bodyguard type person, and then you have her turn on Baszler, and then she actually, and now mind you, now that's an extra 6 months of her being at the Performance Center, working on her promos, working on you know, her screen presence, so on and so forth, and also while at the same time practicing her in ring. And then she gives us this amazing match with her and Baszler because she's working with one of her best friends. You know,
easy chemistry, right?
Right, you got the chemistry. So you know, so they have that match at SummerSlam. Baszler drops the belt to her, and maybe when she loses the belt at the next year's WrestleMania, maybe they keep the whole feud going through WrestleMania, and Baszler finally wins the belt back from her at WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying?
That slow burn, that would have been the best thing to do.
Exactly.
But because it's the name value, you know there's not going to be any patience with that.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, put Ronda's name on the fucking banner. That's tickets, and you're right. You know that is a draw, whether anybody likes it or not. You put Ronda's name on something, there's going to be some attention.
Yep.
But that slow burn would have really implanted some real respect for her, rather than just this idea that, you know, it's Ronda Rousey, she's cashing in. That's it.
Yeah.
Because with how she came in and how she left, that's exactly how it fucking seems. She really tried to bring in the idea that she isn't just here to cash in, and she's not just a pretty face, but she came in, won the belts, dipped.
Yep. And that's what like I said, her Raw Women's Championship run, it was just, I didn't hate it, but there's not much memorable about it. There just wasn't. And I think if she had learned how to you know, how to work a feud in NXT, I think that feud would have been a lot better. You know, that whole thing would have been a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I think that they could have built it like that, and it could have been a lot better.
Yep. And with that said,
but
we'll move on to happier things.
We have some more news.
Yes, sir. You had news about Seth Rollins?
Yes. Old boy Seth has revealed the ending of the Hell in a Cell match that was supposed to happen.
Okay.
Not the beatdown that we saw in my hometown. It was supposed to be Mankind and Undertaker style, except nothing near as good, in the way that the Fiend was supposed to take a bump off the top of the cell.
Good Lord.
And that would have been him taking what was the sledgehammer to the top of the head and then calling the DQ there.
Right.
He was supposed to take a big bump off the cell, and that would have been the end of the match there, which somehow that would have still been better than what the hell we got. Because at least it would have been entertaining to watch, you know?
That's just insane, man. Like, I could see that. Because I could see Bray Wyatt being willing to take that type of bump. And it would have been hilarious.
We're in the wrong timeline. We're in the wrong timeline. But
all right.
In other news,
yeah, you had a little story you told us about pro wrestling. Oh, no, the story about Vince and his reaction to the boos at Hell in a Cell.
I forgot about that. Yeah, no. Apparently, Vince McMahon was in fucking hysterics at the reaction from the Sacramento crowd to the ending of Hell in a Cell.
Oh.
And apparently Vince McMahon, he fucking died laughing.
Why does that not surprise me?
Same. I heard that, and it just made me think, like, you know what, I should have fucking known.
Yep. Like Vince laughing at a crowd not liking something that he chose to, the way he chose to book a match. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Completely beyond plausible.
Because in his mind, first of all, he already has your money because you paid to come to the thing. So he already has your money, so he ain't worried about that. Second of all, he's just like, I got a reaction out of you guys. What's the worst reaction in pro wrestling? No reaction. So whether you're getting booed or you're getting cheered, it's a good thing. Only in the wrestling business is it like that too. But yeah, it's just wow. Now also as we close this up, you had a little story about Pro Wrestling Noah.
Yes, Pro Wrestling Noah. If you don't know what that is, it's one of the bigger promotions in Japan. Set alongside that one, Dragon Gate, All Japan Pro, and of course NJPW. It is definitely one of the bigger promotions that you're going to be exposed to when looking at the Japanese market. And apparently, I don't know exactly when, but WWE had plans to buy Noah and rebrand it as NXT Japan.
Wow. That's insane. I know that they get a lot of their talent from there.
Yeah. This came to me as one nice big blow to the fucking chest because I'm really glad that didn't happen.
Let me ask you something though. Is that how they ended up with NXT UK? Did they buy a promotion out there and turn it into NXT UK?
I don't think so. It's weird though because they have a really good working relationship with Progress.
Yeah,
the bigger promotion in the UK. So you'd think they would have done it with that, but no, they kept Progress around.
Huh.
Which really makes me wonder, like, what the fuck else have they planned on buying but not buying?
Hey, you sound like me the day that it was announced that Vince McMahon bought WCW. I was like, holy shit. Like that was the next big thing. Like there was WWF and then there was WCW.
See, you can't have any enemies if you buy your fucking enemies.
Right.
People still talk about how horrible Vince McMahon is for monopolizing wrestling and getting rid of the territories, but it's like Vince McMahon doesn't want the fucking territories; he wants the world at this point.
Yep. He
in
wants
10
the world
years,
to be
we're gonna see NXT fucking West Africa, y'all.
One real quick comment on NXT and AEW. I did see somebody at the AEW shirt wearing an Adam Cole Baby NXT shirt. I always love seeing people in the others.
You're this fucking venue. It's like seeing fucking all the Bullet Club shirts in WWE events.
Exactly. But all right. So I'm glad that didn't happen. That's one of the other ones that I'm glad didn't happen. But all right. So you got a wrestler of the week for us, sir?
Oh, I do.
All right.
Not only that, but one last tidbit before that. The entirety of when now Shorty Gable was making his entrance, I was sitting there, hands together, just like, let this please be a joke. Like, please say psych. Say psych, please.
Nope. He will be Shorty Gable from now on. I'm disappointed in it. I don't quite like it.
I've actually heard that Vince McMahon really likes Chad Gable. Like, he's completely behind him and he loves this kid. He's just doing this because, like, this is what he finds entertaining.
This is all... y'all could have came up with something better. I'll just say that.
Looking at this man is just one big line of, like, what the fuck is this man? Like, is he human? I don't believe that Vince McMahon is actually human.
No.
That man has a mansion and a yacht named Sexy Bitch.
Vince
that man
McMahon,
is not of this world.
The Vince McMahon that you see today is a clone of the original Vince McMahon Jr. He died. Vince McMahon Jr. died like 25 years ago. These are all just clones that he had built so that he could live on in infamy.
This man is a fucking cyborg. The real Vince McMahon Jr. is in Cuba with Tupac and Biggie.
No shit.
All right, no, I got my rest of the week though.
All right.
I definitely had a hard time. I had a big lineup of people that I was really thinking about, but it came down to Shingo Takagi.
Shingo Takagi, huh?
Takagi, yeah. He definitely made a name for himself in New Japan in the last year or so. So Shingo Takagi started out in Dragon Gate.
Okay.
And he was actually the first graduate of the Dragon Gate dojo, where they train people. So I like to think that's a pretty big fucking acclaim to fame already. Because Dragon Gate's pretty big. But he was the first graduate of the Dragon Gate dojo. And he would go on to be staying in Dragon Gate for 14 years after that point. He would occasionally have runs in Ring of Honor and PWG, which I'll get into a little bit later. Some of the matches he had. But he spent 14 years consecutively within Dragon Gate. He became basically a mainstay there.
Yeah.
He debuted in 2004, and he would not make his New Japan debut until 2018. And in 2018, in October 8th, during the King of Pro Wrestling pay-per-view, Shingo Takagi made his surprise debut and joined LIJ alongside Naito and the rest of those crazy bastards. Shingo Takagi has since made a really big name for himself. He joined the following this year's Best of the Super Juniors, which he had a fucking legendary run in, where this would be his first time being in this Best of the Super Juniors tournament, and he would go all the way up to the finals, being the runner-up winner, and having an incredible fucking match with the winner, Will Ospreay. And immediately following that strong showing within the Super Juniors tournament, following that, his first interview would be, I'm going to join the heavyweight division, I'm going to join the G1, and I'm going to play with the big boys.
Yeah.
And he did exactly that.
Wow.
He went straight into the G1 and had the same type of amazing fucking showing. Before being a pro wrestler, Shingo Takagi was a bodybuilder, so he's kind of built like a fucking Japanese tank. Especially when set alongside, the Japanese body type that you're used to seeing within Japanese wrestling. He is pretty fucking big, I think. And as a whole, he's just a massive badass. He's an incredible worker, and he can wrestle his ass off. A few notable matches, though. Ones that I really like. He had a match with Ilya Dragunov in PWG. And if you don't know who that is, he's basically like a Russian Darby Allin in the way that he likes to do everything the most painful way possible.
Okay.
So you got to see Shingo Takagi throw around this little Russian dude like a rag doll, and it's all types of fun to see. Like I previously mentioned, he had a really good match with Will Ospreay in the finals of the Super Junior tournament, which, if I could recommend one single match, it would be that one, because it is a masterpiece.
Nice.
And lastly, he had a fucking slug out with Walter and PWG last year in the Battle of Ebola.
Okay.
Those are three matches that, if you're going to look at Shingo Takagi, which, for the love of fucking God, dude, he's wonderful, look for those three matches. Because I'd say that those are some of the best matches you're going to see with him in his current state.
Nice.
So Shingo Takagi gets that alpha stamp seal of approval this week.
Sweet. So that'll do it for us for this week, guys. Hope we've hit all your favorite topics. And if you got anything to say, leave your comments in the comment section of either the Facebook post, the Twitter post, or the Twitter tweet, or the actual show on Spreaker. You can comment down below where you listen to it. So be sure to let us know what you think of some of the things we talked about. And we'll be back next week on Sunday, 5 o'clock. So be sure to listen in.
Hell yeah.
So, yo people, you want to say anything
My
to yo
people?
people?
I feel like shit, but you know what? Hopefully I'll be better next week.
All right.
We can get back into the groove of things. My
Amen,
people.
sir. We got, like we've been saying all week, we got a lot of content.
No shortage of shit to talk about. No, sir.
You know? So, all right, y'all. Have a great night. Peace.
Peace.